Hailing frequencies open. Welcome to Trek Retrek on Geek the F Out. I'm Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
And this week we are talking about episode 16, the Galileo 7. TVGuide.com says, when the shuttlecraft Galileo crash lands on a hostile planet inhabited by angry giants, the crew members argue bitterly as Spock attempts a desperate ploy to be rescued. Does he?
Yeah, that's debatable. This was a very Spock-centric episode, that is for sure. But
it definitely was.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we'll probably get into that. But yeah, the desperate ploy to be rescued. Not.
I mean, technically, they talk about desperation at the end. So
yeah, at the very, very end of the episode, it comes up. But other than that,
the rest of the episode, he's kind of a dick. A teeny tiny dick. A wee bit of a dick. Starting off strong.
I mean, that's something we can talk about Spock and his characterization too once we get more into it. But like, generally, I thought it was good. Like, it's a different. Now we've seen this thing a couple of times already with like Sulu and the crew being stuck on the planet where like they were gonna freeze and probably should have. Did we see another one? Was there another one where that similar thing happened? People were trapped down on the planet and they had to get them off. I'm trying to get them off.
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then that happens again next episode. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Something just happened.
Yeah, and my screen flashed. It's fine.
Okay. You're flashing us, Johnny. What the hell?
I'm an exhibitionist, apparently.
Oh my. I know that reference. Mostly because of the GIF, whatever.
GIF.
Yeah.
It's not graphics. No, let's not get into that argument.
Here we go.
Stardate is 2821.5. And we meet the Galactic High Commissioner. Had an interesting outfit. His costume he kind of was. But his costume was really elaborate.
And he just kept staring at the beginning. A lot of staring. Or a lot of them cutting to him staring.
Yeah. That's like it's like when you're working in like
weird.
When you're working in retail or something and like the district manager's in the store for the day and you're just like hovering over everybody's shoulders.
The assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, that's the worst. Like anytime my boss like is watching me just even type something to search, I'm like, don't words. I suddenly like whatever words permitted I normally do, it's like nothing, and I just keep fucking up the whole time.
It was. I didn't look into it. I probably should have, but it's like Kirk's like, we have orders to investigate any quasar or quasar-like phenomenon we come across. Why are they that important? You're like you're on a mission to take these medical supplies to this new Paris colony because there's a plague or something, and like go do that and then come back. Like,
yeah, that's true. Could have done that in hindsight.
But that's me being nitpicky, and that like maybe Kirk was just trying to give the Galactic High Commissioner the shaft. He's like, listen, I've got orders, and it's like malicious compliance. Like, I could take you there first, but no.
I'm sorry,
screw
you said shaft, so I'm not listening to anything you're saying now. Which comes up later, either this episode or next episode. I can't remember.
It's malicious compliance. He's like, listen, I've got orders. I have to do this. I surely could take you to your destination first and then like swing back, but we're doing this right now because I've got orders.
I got orders. Yeah, the first note I have is, "Ooh, pretty green cloud,"
Yeah.
which I'm guessing that's the updated version. That's not
Yeah,
the
that'll
original, what
definitely.
it looked like. Um, which I noted later, it would be interesting to see what a lot of this looked like originally,
Well,
especially with the shuttlecraft going down.
yeah. Memory Alpha has the image of the original effect
Oh.
for the Murasaki 312. It shows it has, and then it has the original planet and um
Mhm.
the redone planet. So you can check them out on Memory Alpha. Uh,
Nice.
the
I'll
original
have to
one's
do
a pretty green cloud too. Here, I'll put it up
mm.
on the thing here. Make myself do more work during editing, but there you go.
Hey, you did it, not me.
Pretend
Did
you
it
can see
yourself.
it and be like, "Ooh, that is pretty."
Ooh, pretty.
There you go.
Uh,
Go
yeah.
ahead. What's your next?
Uh, when Kirk is listening to the like scans and readings of things, he's leaning over, and in the background on the screen, there's like a hypnosis, like a black and white swirly hypnosis thing going on
Yeah,
the screen.
I think that's been on. Is it like
It
at
might it
what's
might have been
normally
there.
Spock's station?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's there all
Yeah.
the time. I don't recall. I know I've seen it more than
So
once.
they're just hypnotizing everyone all the time.
Yeah, everybody, they're just keeping everybody calm and collected and under control.
Mhm.
Um,
Calm,
but
collected, and cool.
there's like half of the senior officers of the Enterprise are on that shuttlecraft. You've got Spock, Scotty, and Bones all on that shuttle. That's like half
Yeah,
your main cast.
I know. I was surprised by that as well. But I did like the new cast. They were all good, even though some of them died. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
yeah,
yeah. um, but yeah, I was surprised by that as well, that they sent them down. Uh, who is the lady's name? I don't know if I ever caught that.
uh, Yeoman Mears.
Mears.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mears.
She had some interesting, not lines, but direction she was given with acting in this episode. Which, first of all, oh, I guess that's further up. Okay, I'll wait to say that note then. Um uh and then my next note is, holy fucking tits, the cups.
Yeah, the cups are back. I just have cups with an exclamation point.
Cups, baby.
They
The
have
cups are
returned.
back.
We've had a cup drought for a while.
Yeah.
Haven't seen them, but
We've been
they are
thirsty for
back.
those cups. They came back to fulfill our thirst.
um, and there were like 6 of them on that tray. Someone walked in with like a tray, and there were like 6. Everybody on the bridge had a cup.
Yeah. Which I thought was weird because both Kirk and Ferris, Harris, Ferris,
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 yeah,
Ferris, yeah. Um,
Bueller,
they both
Bueller.
they both took it and were talking. I was like, this was so unnecessary for you guys to take these and talk. It just looked really weird, especially because they were having such a serious conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then they're going to Taurus, which I was like, huh, it's a sign. But
Mm-hmm.
they pronounced it different. They pronounced it like Taurus. Did you notice that?
I think so. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't remember.
um yeah, and then the great injured acting by all of them
Yeah,
when
and
they
then
crash.
Yeah, and a little bit before the cups note, I have like Kirk specifically calls out there's a 24-foot shuttlecraft. I'm like, that's a really weird like.
That's small.
I don't. It just sounded. It was just weird that they're like it's a 24-foot shuttlecraft. Like,
I think
okay,
they were just trying to say how small it is compared to, what they're looking at to find it.
gotcha.
That's what I thought.
I liked. Yeah. So I started to talk about this and then I got off track. Ferris's like costume was very like
Mm.
interesting and elaborate, and I thought like I looked at him one time. I'm like, does he have like a capelet on? Like it looked like he had like a half cape, but then
Oh,
when
I don't know if
there
I
was
saw
one
that.
scene where he turned around and left the bridge, and it's like he had like his sleeves were weird. They like how some drawings of Spider-Man he has like webbing between his like
Oh,
it
yes, yes,
was
yes.
like that with his costume. Like the sleeves were sewn to
Like
the
he's a
back, but
fine
there was
squirrel.
yeah, it's a little odd. Um,
Interesting. Yeah, it was weird. Different, cool, interesting.
yeah,
All those things.
all those things.
All those things. Um, yeah, my next note isn't until dude gets stabby stabbed. Do you have anything
I
before
have
that?
the tan belts are back. The tan
I saw that.
phaser belts
Hmm. But I only
that
saw it on that one guy. Was it
I thought there
Katana
were
or was
two of
that
them.
Latimer?
I thought they both had.
I think it
I
was
don't
oh,
think
maybe they did.
Yeah, I think Gaetano and Latimer both had them. I don't think Boma got one. Um,
No, he didn't have one. I call racism.
but I still just think it's funny because that one, and maybe I'll have to edit the memory alpha page because it was very specific during that one episode. This is the last appearance of these belts, and then they showed up again and again. It's like, then
They
it's
lied.
obviously not the last appearance. It needs rewording.
No,
Um,
they sit on a throne of lies.
yeah, I don't have any other notes really until what'd you say your next one was? He gets stabby
Gets
stabbed.
stabby stabbed by the fucking javelin.
Yeah.
Like that thing was massive. And I know it's to show how big the like furry monster's size was.
Mm-hmm.
LOL. Um but sorry.
We're
That'd be a
really
good
knocking it out of the
that'd be a
park with the
good
double entendres in this one.
that'd be a good name for a toy.
Furry monster.
Yeah, big furry monster.
There's
Um,
actually there's a Magic the Gathering card from their I forget if it's unhinged or unglued, but it's BFM, it's Big Furry Monster. And it's actually two cards separate that like
create
two
one
halves.
mega card.
Yeah, and big furry monster.
Voltron. um Also I love how I make the Voltron reference. I have not seen anything like
Never
OG
watched any Voltron.
Transformers. Nothing Voltron. um
I actually really liked it completely. Tangent time. The Voltron that was on
Tangent
Netflix a
time.
couple of years ago. The
It
DreamWorks
is
Voltron
Transformers,
show.
right?
What? Voltron? No, it's Voltron.
It's a separate thing,
Yeah, Voltron
but
is
it's
its
like
own.
Transformers.
Not really.
But isn't it a
No.
bunch of things making a big thing?
Yes.
See?
It's five robot lions that convert
Yes.
and
They're a
make
robot.
one big, but they're not robots, they're more vehicles. Like they're not
Which are also Transformers.
but they don't have any of their own don't really have any of their own intelligence or personality. They don't talk. They're more like they're vehicles.
Fine.
Go watch it and you'll see the difference.
Okay,
Anyway.
fine. Anywho, done with our tangent time.
Yeah. The I think it was after he gets speared.
The blindly shooting.
Yeah, the blindly shooting, like he gets the one guy gets the spear. I can't even remember his fucking name. Which one was it that died?
Was it Latimer? Latimer and Gaetano died.
Yeah, but who died first?
Latimer.
Sure. Okay.
I only
I just
remember
don't remember.
because I know the last name Gaetano.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Because they don't actually see the creatures yet when he gets
Well, when
the spear in the back.
Gaetano is blindly shooting. No. He doesn't see it when he gets speared. But when Gaetano is blindly shooting, he thinks he sees it, he thinks he shoots it, and then they quickly learn that he didn't. Or
He did not.
maybe he did and it was another one. At least not that one. Yeah, and then quickly things turn on Spock with Boma pointing out Spock's lack of emotion to Latimer's death. Which I mean has happened before in the series so far. But like things just continue to get piled on to Spock throughout the episode, and it's very much logic versus emotions running theme throughout the episode. Yeah, I felt bad for Spock, but also I was just as frustrated with him as everyone else was.
Yeah.
Because it's like I get that you're the ranking officer and you're the one who's supposed to make the decisions, and he does take other people into account at the beginning or initially, but ultimately he just decides to make the decisions on his own, and they don't go so great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like
well.
because on the one hand I can also see like Spock's not really wrong either. Like
Mm-mm.
you're in a dangerous situation. Like
Mm-hmm.
do you really have time for like burials of dead people? Shouldn't you really focus on keeping everybody
Totally.
safe and getting everybody off the planet? Like, yeah, it sucks
Totally.
that Latimer is probably just going to lay there and decay on the planet that he's dead, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it's probably more important that you keep everybody safe and get them off the planet.
Yeah, the part that I was frustrated with was more so him with predicting the monster's actions.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
there's that.
burial
Yeah.
stuff, I was all on his side. I was like, yeah, y'all need to get the fuck out of here. Like, you shouldn't be lingering around, or just like, you shouldn't be outside of the shuttle where these monsters are. So I was on his side for that, at least.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, like the point of him applying total logic to the monsters or creatures, inhabitants,
It was
locals, like their
weird.
behavior when you can't necessarily do that.
Mm-mm.
You need to
Definitely
you need to
can't do
take
that.
emotion and instinct into account as well for
And
particularly
also,
for unknown creatures.
yeah, that's the whole point. You don't know them, so like how much can you really try to predict anyways? Like
Yeah.
you don't know this planet, you don't know these creatures. Like to even think that you can begin to understand them even based on all the other planets you've been to, you can't. You literally cannot. I don't know if you noticed this, but when Spock, Gaetano, and Boma were walking around, and then the spear falls, uh, and then the shield falls after that. The first shield that fell was just like the size of a normal human shield would be.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they go up to it, it's ginormous. I thought
Yeah,
that was funny.
I didn't notice it, but I have something about that in the episode trivia.
Mm.
So
And then things were just like dropping down on Gaetano when he got left.
yeah,
And then and then when the creature attacks him, it was interesting that they did the point of view from the creature's angle.
Yeah. I don't know that
Um,
we ever saw like
we don't see the face,
the face of these
see
things.
the
Yeah,
back,
I don't know if
which
that
clearly
was
was like rugs
yeah.
just put together, like not even really sewn together, just like let's put these in random places on you and call you a monster, a big furry monster.
Yeah, it was probably just like a budget saving maneuver to try to like keep from having to make like prosthetics so it looked like something else. Um
Totally.
and then, it was funny when um was this when they were doing this was when they were like Spock and Gaetano and Boma were out like scouting
Hmm.
and they're like, shooting at 10 and 2 and whatnot, and then Spock's like, Boma and I will go back, Gaetano, you
Oh
stay
yeah.
here. And it's like, okay,
Hmm.
so you're leaving the one who's like the murder hobo alone so that he can like kill these creatures. You're leaving the one that you've had to remind constantly not to kill them by himself. And Boma and Gaetano share a look like,
They
well,
do.
you fuck. Like,
Yeah. They do share a look like, I'm sorry, you're about to die.
yeah. Like he's
You're
making me
going
stay here
down
by
today.
myself.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck, Spock? Um, yeah, it's even because it was before that when they talked about who they would have to leave behind because they need to,
Yeah.
um, drop some weight and they can't just drop things. They would need to drop people. And
Hmm.
so, it's interesting that Spock was like, well, obviously I'm the one to choose. And Boma's like, shouldn't we draw straws? And he's like, no, 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 because I'll know the logical answer. I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe I think the only thing logically you could do is keep Bones because he's the doctor.
Well,
Other than that,
Bones, Scotty, and
Bones,
Spock
Scotty, and
are
Spock.
obvious for a variety of reasons. One,
Yes, yes,
Scotty
yes.
is
Plus
the
they have
one who
plot
needs to get,
armor.
yeah, well, yeah, plot armor,
Yeah.
yes, but
Hmm.
Scotty's the one who needs to get the shuttlecraft
Ship.
repaired and make sure it
Yes.
keeps going. Bones is the doctor. Spock's the commanding officer. So it's
Spock
really
has plot armor.
who is the most expendable out of
Hmm.
Boma, Gaetano, Latimer, and Mears? Which of those
Hmm.
two is least valuable to the Enterprise?
Yeah. I would never want to make that decision.
Yeah.
That sounds
Luckily, I mean,
horrible.
luckily or not, I mean, I guess it doesn't come to that because then
Hmm.
Gaetano dies too, which I didn't think he was
Hmm.
dead at first. Like, I thought he was just unconscious laying on that rock.
I thought so too. And I thought that's why Spock was like, oh, I'll just bring you back. You're unconscious. And then at the end, when they, like, you see the burial, there's two mounds. And then, oh, yeah, obviously Gaetano's not there. So I was like, oh, I guess he's dead.
Yeah. There was a point where Spock was carrying Gaetano away and he's like shimmying through those rocks. One of the spears that
Hmm.
was thrown hits the rock and you can see like foam like fly off and then there's like a big yellow spot on the rock because they must have been made out of foam. Uh
Mm,
I don't know how I noticed that, but I
interesting.
did. And I think a piece of the foam hit
Interesting.
Nimoy in the side of the head as he was walking away.
That's funny. I did not notice that. Good eye
Yeah.
with that. Let's see what I have next. Oh, yeah, it was interesting when Spock finds him and he's walking away. And there's still just uh it's funny because the spears are just being dropped. They're not like thrown a lot of the time,
Yeah.
except for at the beginning when Latimer is impaled. But the rest of the time they're just dropped. And they seem to be kind of willy-nilly all over the place. And yeah, a lot of times, especially with the rocks, like you can tell they're not rocks, they're just foam, which, it's hard to do anyways. And obviously you're not going to throw a huge boulder at one of the actors. um what's the next thing I have? Uh yeah, and it was interesting that they didn't do what Spock thought they were gonna do, which,
Hmm.
you know, everyone was like, "Haha, told you." And Bones gets super upset with him, but then also defends him later on when someone was calling him out. I can't remember when that was. I think it was Boma when he said something about him.
Yeah,
Um,
he went through the normal Spock insults of like, you're a machine, and both Scotty and Bones were like, enough.
yeah. Yeah, it was the machine one. That's what it was. Um, yeah, and then they decided to shock the creatures,
Hmm.
which I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see that happen. It
I
was
liked
funny.
Scotty standing there on the side just going with the
Yeah.
wrench, which already had scorch marks on it, so that must have like done that
Uh,
scene once or twice before, and like because it was actually
uh-huh.
sparking whenever he hit it,
Yeah, it
like
was.
uh and the
Actors could
wrench,
never do that today.
yeah, the wrench that he was using had like black scorch marks on it where it had been making contact. So that was neat. But
I did not
James Doohan
notice
was
that.
like, it was funny. I thought it was hilarious.
What was that motion? There you go.
It's more of a, I
Yes.
don't know. I don't. It'd
Look at
be
the
easier with
wrist.
a wrench. Yeah.
It's
Um,
always easier with a wrench. I don't
is
know.
it?
I don't know. I'm delirious at this point.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so then they finally decide to do the burial, which yeah, Spock was like, this is stupid, but you know, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I also thought was a stupid idea. And then I can't remember who said it, but someone said huge furry creatures, and I just wrote that down because
Mm-mm.
huge furry creatures. um, but yeah, and then Ferris takes control of the kind of takes control, or he pulls rank essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. He
So Kirk,
takes advantage of his station, and then once again,
but then
Kirk
he
with the
leaves.
yeah, he just leaves the bridge, and once again, Kirk with the malicious compliance is like, Sulu, head out as slow as we possibly can.
Yes,
Space
he
normal
did.
speed. Uh,
Yep. So it was like, what? Like, yeah, space
he's
normal, baby.
technically following orders. He is
Yes,
leaving.
exactly.
He is
Mm-hmm.
technically correct. The best kind of
Mm-hmm.
correct.
Technically. Yeah. My next note is Ferris is a piece of shit. Piece of shit. um but yeah, and then Spock gets saved by Bones and Boma as they're trying to skedaddle
Yeah, even
out
though
of
he was
there.
telling them not to. He's like, no, just
Yeah.
go. Just go.
He's like,
I
why do you
told you to
save
leave.
me? Which I liked that coming full circle with them saving him, even though he was being
Hmm.
an asshole. Um, I liked that moment. Felt like that was good writing in there. And then they finally get the shuttle to move. And fucking Mears is like, we're moving, and then falls to the floor in like a on her knees, like butt on the ground position. Did you
Hmm.
notice that? She just like falls forward like that. I was like, that's an interesting direction they gave her. Because no one else really fell. They kind of like moved over. I don't know if you noticed that. I'm just
I didn't pay a lot of attention to their positioning during that. No.
mm,
I
I did.
noticed I noticed that and it might have been earlier, like they really should like bolt those chairs down,
Oh
because
yeah.
like the chairs
That's
themselves
right.
tip forward and side to
Yeah,
side, and
they
like
do.
they also have like a rocking mechanism, like your office chair leans back and whatnot, but the base also
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
is not secured to the, and I think, you know, part of it is probably reuse. Those same chairs are like the chairs that are around like the conference table and at the bridge stations. So they
Mm-hmm.
probably want to make them so that they can use them on different sets, so they don't like drill them into the floor. But like,
Mm-hmm.
there apparently is no Starfleet OSHA. There's no
Clearly,
workplace
lots of
safety.
safety
Yeah.
hazards, hazards here.
Um,
Hazards have the hazards.
hazards.
Um, yeah, and then Spock decides to burn the jet fuel to create a smoke signal for the Enterprise, which he is fucking lucky that worked because they had 6 fucking minutes.
Yeah. I thought I was thinking it was gonna be ignite it to like push them, give them extra push to get out of orbit, but then they'd
Mm,
just be drifting in space.
yeah,
But
and who knows how much oxygen they would have left.
yeah, it worked. I
It's
mean,
like the better of two evils. Yeah,
we knew it was
they
gonna
had
work.
plot armor.
But they did a good
Yeah.
job of keeping us like, how the fuck are they gonna get out of this? Because we know they're gonna get out of
Mhm.
it, but like, how are they gonna
Mhm.
get out of it?
Mhm. Yeah, they did do a good job of that. Um and then when they get back on there, or I don't know if it was when they came back on, but at some point I have the note, LOL Uhura casually leaning on the chair. She's like standing and leaning over it
Yeah,
instead of just sitting in her chair and doing her job. I
yeah.
was like, are
It
we
was
on
a
is this break time or something?
It must have been because everybody. It was one of those things where like it ends with everybody laughing because they're all
Oh, it's
like,
right before the desperation convo. Yeah, that's what it
yeah,
was. Mhm.
yeah. Everybody's heard what happened, and they're like all getting
Mhm.
ready to like,
Get on Spock.
elbow Spock in the ribs and have fun at his expense.
He he he. You were emotional.
Yeah,
Which also, like, come on, people, be nice to him. Cause I mean, this is after he cut off his emotions, right? Did we figure that out? Before.
well, it's it's difficult
Just tell me.
if you're. It's difficult if you're trying. Well, we don't know because technically, not entirely. Uh,
Okay.
but based on what we've seen in Strange New Worlds, there has to be something
Mhm.
coming up, like
Yeah.
where he's like suppressing his emotions more than he has been. Um,
Mhm.
but just in the context of this episode, that's just how he is. Like he's not emotional. We haven't seen
Yes.
anything to explain aside from
Totally.
like in the Naked Time when he talks about like the virus made his emotions stronger and they were harder to resist. Uh,
Mhm.
if we're just looking in the context of TOS in this episode, he doesn't give into emotions.
Mhm.
But with what we've seen in Strange New Worlds, like there's definitely something because that was one of the things like, and I don't know if it's just because like if we're trying to this is where like people get all up in arms about canon and things like that. Just enjoy the show and the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you want to
Stop
really get nitpicky
gatekeeping
about it,
it. Just enjoy it.
yeah, if you want to get nitpicky about it, like Uhura should know about Spock's like emotional capacity because of the things with Chapel and
Mhm.
whatnot that we've seen in Strange New Worlds. But like somebody makes the comment, first
True.
time in your life, you like, I forget who it was. I had it
Mhm.
written down, but somebody said something about for the
Mhm.
first time in your life you did this, and I'm like,
Mhm.
not quite,
Yeah.
because he had quite a
I
bit of
thought the
emotion in it.
same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Kind of a bit of emotion a lot of times in Strange New Worlds.
yeah. Now it's reasonable to assume that like the only people on the Enterprise that might know of Spock and his history with emotions would be Uhura and Chapel, and maybe it's something that they've
Maybe
agreed to.
Scotty, now that he's been
Maybe
in.
Scotty now that he's on the
I mean,
Enterprise
and
and
Kirk
Strange
was
New
there quite
Worlds.
often.
Yeah, but they didn't really interact that much. We got that one scene of
We'll
them
find
meeting, and
out.
thus far, things could change
Yeah.
as we get more episodes in Strange New Worlds in like what,
Mm-hmm.
6 more years now, because pay the people who make your shows fairly.
Yes, we
But
support the strikes.
uh as of right now, with the information that we have, Uhura and Chapel are probably the only ones on the Enterprise who know about Spock and his emotional history, and maybe
Yep,
they've had an agreement to like keep it to themselves. They're not going to share his
totally.
personal
I could see
history
that
with other people.
happening.
So Spock, and maybe Scotty, Spock and or not Spock, Bones and Kirk
Yep,
don't
Hottie.
know about all that stuff that happened in Strange New Worlds, so they assume that Spock
Mm,
has just always been cool, calculating, and emotionless. Not and necessarily not
mm,
emotionless, but subdued.
mm-hmm. See that. Yeah, but that whole conversation at the end where Spock's being so stubborn, I'm like, well, just admit it. I don't know. Like, I guess that's just his logical side taking over that he doesn't want to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's, men are stubborn. Even Vulcan men. Half human, half Vulcan.
But yeah,
But yeah, the awkward them all laughing and like walking back to their spots. I was
yeah.
just like, this is so cringy. So corny, but I love it. I love the
So that's really it
corny
for
gorny.
yes. That's a couple more
Hmm.
episodes. Uh, the,
Yeah, just a few.
um, so that does it for our general thoughts about the episodes. We want to do favorite lines and moments.
Yes. I already mentioned a couple of them, like huge furry creatures.
Mm-hmm.
um, but I liked Kirk's line of finding a needle in a haystack would be child's play.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun little analogy. And when Bones said on the shuttle when he was assessing things, however, I wouldn't recommend this place as a summer resort.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Um and then Bones to Spock when he's arguing about having the services for Latimer
Mm-hmm.
says, "At least let us die like men, not machines." Which is funny because then Boa calls him a machine later.
Yeah.
So it's like okay when you do it, but not okay when someone else does it. I guess.
Um,
Um, yeah, I think that's it for lines at least.
there's
I think my weirdly favorite part of the episode was yeah, when they crashed and all of their reactions to the crash. um that and the I just forgot it. Damn it. You go, maybe I'll remember it.
there's a part where they're Scotty's on the floor like working in the hatch, and I forget what led to it, but Scotty just looks at. I think it's when they're talking about the funeral. Scotty
Mhm.
just looks at Spock and is like, "You got your hands full," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Thanks, Scotty. That's a big help."
Thanks,
Uh,
Captain Obvious.
and then when they're talking about like using the logic and whatnot being applied to the monsters, and Spock's like, I may have been mistaken, and Bones is like, at least I lived long enough to hear that.
That was great. That was a good
And
one.
then the other one was the first time in your life thing we already talked about, and the other one is in That's What They Said, so I will save that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
uh
Um yeah, I think my other favorite part was yeah, when they're all laughing at the end back to their seats.
mhm.
Just so funny. So, it's a classic trope. Can't hate it.
So that will bring us to being good segue. That's What They Said.
Okay.
Who's going first?
Um you go first.
Position.
Now that's what I call a ride.
We'll get off all right.
More crude about the shaft, I believe.
We don't have to maintain it very long, Mr. Scott.
You've brought our furry friends down on us.
How long can we hold it?
Get us off, Scott.
I knew it. When I had that one written down, and when I heard that, I'm like, that is up. There's no way that is not gonna go into that's what they said.
You know me too well. Too well.
This was a good episode for that's what they said.
Yeah, it was. There's a few in the next episode, but not as many, sadly.
So that will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha. After this episode was filmed, no new shots of the shuttlecraft miniature were taken. All shuttlecraft model shots used in the series were stock footage from this episode, sometimes matted into different backgrounds. Like
the whole series, not just this series. Season. Holy shit. Wow. They're like, all right, budget.
Well, it can be like they talk about matted into different backgrounds. Like if you get certain shots of the shuttlecraft from all the angles you need, like you just take those shots and composite them into what you need. It saves budget. It is a point. Like there's no reason, unless you need to like do something where like the shuttlecraft is damaged and it has like scorch marks or something on it, which presumably they don't because they just use this. But it does save costs and time down the line. To make the creatures
sounds like a stock decision.
Yeah. To make the creatures look larger than they really were, small spear and shield props were made for Buck Maffei, I don't know if that's how you say his name, Maffei, to fling at the crew. The one that is dropped near the three men is fairly small in size, but in the next shot, it is much larger, which you talked about.
But it's funny because when those are thrown down, they're in front of Spock and them. So like they never needed to be smaller.
Yeah.
Maybe the large big ones, furry monster.
Yeah, maybe the large ones were harder to throw.
I mean, I would think so.
Although no, because I think it's a big one that ends up hitting the rock prop and sending foam flying. I don't know. It's not that important.
I mean, if it's foam, but still.
Yeah.
Just the mechanics of it.
Leonard Nimoy struggled with his role of Spock in this episode because, in many of his scenes, he had to account for the absence of William Shatner. Nimoy later recalled, "I experienced it as a failure." That's why he
struggled?
Apparently. He says,
Not because he was being an asshole?
Nimoy said, "I experienced it as a failure. Put into the position of being the driving force, the central character, was very tough for me." I mean, some actors are like that. They're better as supporting actors than they are as leads. And maybe that was Nimoy felt more comfortable being the one reacting to the main character rather than being the one that was being reacted to.
Yeah.
This episode marks the first appearance in Star Trek of the rank of ensign, as Ensign O'Neill is mentioned in this episode. The tan belts.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if I had noticed that ensign was not mentioned.
My rank was never mentioned.
Yeah.
I've been a no one up until now.
Yeah.
I've not even had a rank.
There was another one that I thought I grabbed, but I didn't.
How dare.
The tan belts to which phasers and communicators are attached make a reappearance after being gone for several episodes. So Memory Alpha even says that, but that one page still says it was the last appearance.
You tell him.
Oh, here it is. Ferris is called Galactic High Commissioner because the name United Federation of Planets had not yet been created. Later in the series, there was the term Federation High Commissioner is used instead. Yeah, they were still kind of like figuring out I guess, the organization of the
Yeah.
galactic government, or whatever you want to call it. So that is
Interesting.
trivia. We will now
Trivia.
move to our other way. Spoilers without context. I don't remember who.
Oh, you were pointing. I
Yeah.
thought you were doing like nose.
Nose goes. I
Nose
don't remember
goes.
who went last time, so Ensign Kayla,
Yeah,
we'll
don't
put
ask
yours up
me.
first on
Okay, what did I do?
the screen.
I'm already forgetting what I did. There it is. Oh yes. I mean, yeah, you gotta do the fucking. Why am I just blanking on his name? I was gonna say Sasquatch.
I mean, that is Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. There we go. But
Yeah,
I
they're the
wanted to say
same.
Bigfoot. And then if you haven't been on Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland, the whole shuttlecraft area when it was like taking off from the ship and coming back, those scenes looked so much like Rise. I mean, I get that it's also like a ship and like the same kind of areas that you go on during the ride. But like even like the shape of the shuttlecraft too reminded me a lot of that. And then arrowheads, because Spock was like so curious about the one that was on the end of the fucking javelin.
A Folsom Point.
Yeah, Folsom Point. And then furries, because furries.
What else needs to
No,
be said?
yes, exactly. That's all you need to know.
Okay, very good.
Your turn.
Yes, we will bring my spoilers without context up. I mean, the Bohemian Rhapsody, because Galileo figured, come on, I had to.
Yeah. I did
Yeah.
not put that together.
What did
Duh.
you think it was for when you saw it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't have time to think. We did it. We literally sent them right before we
Yeah.
started, so I did not have time to think. I was just like, okay.
And
Cool.
then, similar to Bigfoot, I had to do Harry and the Hendersons, because I just kept thinking of Harry and the Hendersons after seeing the monster. The old cartoon electrocution signal for when they're electrocuting the monsters. And then
Which I wish we would have seen, but that's fine.
The guy from the "which button will you press" meme, because that's like Spock when he's looking at the console and thinking about detonating the fuel. That's just what I thought of when I saw that.
And also just like any decision he was making this episode.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, basically everything that was Spock this entire episode.
I'm never wrong.
What do I do? So that will do it for your spoilers without context. That will bring us to ranking.
If you have any of your own, send them to us at GTFO channel.
Yes.
On all the socials.
Or post
or
them
any
to the socials
memes in
and tag
general.
us, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
That will bring us to ranking the episode. Ensign Kayla, how do you rank the Galileo 7?
I'm gonna give this a commander. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to watch. But it's a lot of fun. It's a different concept from what we've seen so far. It's interesting to see Spock like we get more out of Spock's character, so I think that's important. And to see, this not turmoil, but inner struggle that he goes throughout the episode between his emotions and his logic. And he gets called out on it. Anytime people get called out on their bullshit, I'm like, yes, because too many people get away with the bullshit without being called out on. And yeah, I thought it was good. It was fun. It was funny, especially with the big furry monster, but then also like very serious and like good action. Yeah, and it was a good episode. Yeah, I don't know. That's it.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, but like don't absolutely have to watch it at the same time, you know?
Right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. I
Mhm.
also go Commander. I'm in the same boat. Like, it's
Copycat.
well, I mean, well,
I'm kidding.
fine. I'm giving it Ensign. No,
You fuck.
no, Commander. Because for basically all the same reasons that you said. Like, it's a good episode. If you're a really big fan of Spock, this is probably a captain for you. But in general, I think overall it's Commander.
Would it be a captain? I feel like it doesn't paint him in the best light.
I mean, if you like Spock and character development and seeing what makes him tick, I don't think it paints him in a bad
Yeah,
light. It just shows the difference of his mindset and
totally. But
his
still, he's an asshole.
every. You're not
I
wrong,
will
Walter. You're
stand
just
by
an
that.
asshole.
You
So yeah,
know, sometimes we gotta be assholes. We
yeah.
all have them.
Yes, everybody opinions are like assholes. So
Yes.
our opinion is that this is unanimously a Commander ranked episode.
Great segue.
Thank you. The next episode is The Squire of Gothos.
It's gonna be a doozy. Spoiler alert.
It certainly is.
I think we say that almost every time.
Yeah. Well, we're running into and like you had said before, I think, I don't remember if it was last time or during Strange New Worlds, like this back half of season 1, there's
Back half.
what do the kids say these days? Banger after banger.
Yes. Bangers, baby.
There's
Bangers.
a lot of there are a lot of good and highly regarded episodes of Star Trek in this back half of this first season. So the Squire of Gothos.
You gotta stop saying back half.
But I mean, that's what it is.
Say second half.
Second half.
Yeah, latter half. The end of the season. The second half.
IMDb.com says a
Second
being
quarter.
that controls matter and creates planets wants to play
Spring
with
semester.
the Enterprise crew. Are you done?
I'm just gonna keep. No, I can't. I must fuck.
Which
fuck with people.
That's kind of that's what they said right in and of itself in that episode summary. A being that controls matter and creates planets wants to play with the Enterprise crew.
I know.
All right.
So good. Thanks everyone for joining. Hope you all had a good time.
Let's GTFO. Do all the things. Smack the like. Smack subscribe. Follow us on all the.
Smack the bell icon.
All the socials that
at
Ensign
GTFO
Kayla
channel. Yes.
graciously runs for us.
Yeah, if I ever if you ever get a message from us, it's me, FYI. Or like if you're like, oh, these posts are definitely seem skewed in a bit of a way. Yeah, it's because it's me posting them. That is why.
It was funny. You took a break on Sunday. Like as of recording, it was like the previous Sunday. I saw like social media break for the weekend. See you next week. And I was like, I'm gonna take over because I do have access.
Yeah,
I was just gonna post so much bullshit, and I didn't do it. But I thought it would have been fun. Maybe the next time.
God, on my day off, and I have to come back to that, I would have been like, "Fuck you! This is my job, and you come in and you fuck it up." You fucker.
Just like Galactic Commissioner Ferris.
Hey.
I would have been the Ferris
Full circle,
to your
baby.
Kirk.
Full circle. All right. Well, this has been fun. Thanks everyone for geeking the F out with us. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Until then, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.